Hello everyone, and welcome to a brand new theory and speculation video. Today, I want to talk about Harbinger Pulcinella and my speculations on his origins and future. We've recently learned a bit more about him, and even though we probably won't see him until Snezhnaya, I still want to talk about him. Now, this video does contain spoilers for the quests listed on screen now, so if you haven't done those, you have been warned. With all that said though, let's get right into the video. Pulcinella is the fifth of the 11 Fatui Harbingers, also known by his title of the Rooster. While we haven't seen him in game yet, we do know quite a bit about him already. He appeared in Travail as the representative for Snezhnaya, as well as in a Winter Night's Lazo with the other Harbingers. From these brief appearances, we learn that he is a mayor in Snezhnaya, and we also get hints about his personality. Before I get more into that though, I want to talk about Tartaglia, as most of our knowledge about Pulcinella actually comes from him. In fact, Pulcinella was actually the one who inducted Tartaglia into the Fatui. Before he joined the Fatui, Tartaglia went by the name of Ajax and lived in the small seaside village of Morpesak. At 14 years old, he fell into the abyss, before re-emerging a few days later. However, he would be greatly changed by his time in the abyss, leading to several incidents occurring in his hometown. His worried father would bring him to the Fatui, where he watched his son easily beat up the well-trained soldiers of the faction. These actions attracted Harbinger Pulcinella's curiosity, who conscripted the boy into the Fatui under the guise of serving the Tsaritsa as punishment for his previous actions. Ajax would eventually become a Harbinger himself, taking on the title of Child and the name Tartaglia. To this day, Tartaglia looks up to Pulcinella, believing that he is genuine about wanting to help him and his family while he is away from Snezhnaya. However, Wanderer believes that Tartaglia is being quite dense regarding the situation. He knows that the underlying meaning is that Tartaglia's entire family is in Pulcinella's hands, and it's pretty clear that Wanderer does not like Pulcinella. Arlecchino shares this feeling, holding little love for the Rooster. Still, she does applaud his performance as mayor and his ability to make great gains at a small price. However, she still has her reservations about him. If the price he pays continues to come at the expense of her organization, the House of the Hearth, she implies that she won't be merciful to him. In general, Pulcinella seems to hold little love for others, only using them to get what he wants, as seen with Tartaglia and his family. Additionally, at Signora's funeral, he ordered that all work would be halted for a mere half a day, a statement which drew criticism from both Pantalone and Arlecchino. Despite this criticism, Pantalone would start to work with Pulcinella on a mysterious project known to us as Project Stuzha. Not much is known about this project, but the House of the Hearth is said to be a key player in it. However, both Arlecchino and Linny suspect that this is just Pulcinella trying to rein in their influence and control them. Again, we don't know much about Project Stuzha now, but once Snezhnaya releases, I'm sure we'll learn more. With what we know about him out of the way, it's time to talk about Pulcinella's potential origins. Currently, we don't know that much about his story. Most of what we know is about his connection with Tartaglia, his role, and his personality. Despite these setbacks, there is still plenty of room to speculate. Starting with his appearance, he is shown to have long ears, resembling those of a few other characters. Klee, Nahida, Layla, and Yansan all have similar ears, meaning Pulcinella could be a species of elf. Additionally, Layla in particular seems to share quite a few more similarities with the Harbinger. Their ears are of course quite similar, but their eye color and overall color palettes are very similar as well. This could mean that Pulcinella has some sort of relation to Layla, maybe even being an ancestor of hers. Alternatively, he could just be a member of the same elf-like species, and the two have nothing more than that in common. Unfortunately, since little is known about Pulcinella's history, there isn't much more to talk about here. He doesn't have an artifact set or other item that talks about him, so we can only work with what we have here. Perhaps we'll learn more about him at the end of Natlan's Archon quests, but we'll just have to wait and see. Now then, it's time to speculate on what the future could hold for Pulcinella and his role in Snezhnaya. Since he's the representative for Snezhnaya in the Travail trailer, it makes sense that we'll first meet him there. Additionally, it's implied that he rarely leaves Snezhnaya, making it less likely that we'll see him anywhere else. Before we reach Snezhnaya though, we could definitely still learn more about him and the mysterious Project Stuzha. Before leaving Natlan and traveling up to Snezhnaya, we could make a return to Fontaine for an event or something like that. During this event, we could meet up with Linny, Lynette, and Fremine. By this point, they might know more about Project Stuzha, allowing them to tell us a bit more about it. They could let us know that Project Stuzha is planned to happen soon, and that they might even be leaving Fontaine for a bit. They could head to Snezhnaya or wherever the plan is set to take place. This would only have to happen in a little bit of dialogue in the quest, and it could be used to set up some of the plot for Snezhnaya and hint towards Pulcinella's role in the Archon quests there. Upon reaching Snezhnaya, we would eventually meet most or all of the Fatui Harbingers, including Pulcinella. Here, we could learn even more about Project Stuzha and what it means, and we could even see it come into play. Now, in Snezhnaya's Archon quests, I feel like Pulcinella will be quite the key player. He might not appear much, but his influence will be felt, with him pulling the strings from behind the scenes. We could even get to see him in action in Snezhnaya, potentially against Tartaglia. If Tartaglia discovers that Pulcinella is threatening his family or using them to get what he wants, Tartaglia may go to attack Pulcinella. We already know that Tartaglia can act quite impulsively, and if his family's in danger, he wouldn't think too clearly. As such, he may attack a Harbinger ranked far above himself without even considering the potential consequences. Now, I don't think Pulcinella will be a weekly boss, but I do think that a potential conflict against him could happen. We could even conflict with a few different Harbingers in Snezhnaya for various reasons. These conflicts could be orchestrated from behind the scenes by the Tsaritsa and Piero, perhaps as tests for the Traveler. The Harbingers would be told to purposefully get on our bad side so that we would fight them, essentially testing us without us realizing it. They may want to prepare us for a fight in the future by testing both our strength and strategy in combat. Speaking of the Fatui Harbingers in combat, it's time to talk about Pulcinella as a playable character. Like the previous Harbingers I've discussed on this channel, I believe that Pulcinella will be playable at some point in the future. He is the representative for Snezhnaya in Travail after all, which does imply that he will be playable. In the Travail trailer, we see that he is surrounded by his followers, as well as a lot of ice. This could be suggesting that his element is Cryo, or it could just be representative of Snezhnaya. Either way, Cryo does seem to fit him quite well. He is a cold and calculating mayor, pretending to care so that he can get what he wants. As for his weapon, I could see him using a catalyst. We do see him using a cane in a Winter Night's Lazo, so perhaps he could use it in a similar way to how Neuvillette uses his cane. Alternatively, he could use something like a sword. He may appear old and fragile, but he is way stronger than he looks. After all, he is the fifth of the Harbingers, and that's definitely saying something about his strength. In combat, I could see his abilities being dependent on his teammates. In order to increase the power of his attacks, he could draw HP away from his allies, similar to how Jing Liu works in Star Rail. His kit could also provide healing for his allies, which would allow him to keep increasing the power of his attacks. This would also reflect his personality of pretending to care so that he can get what he wants. If he does end up being playable, we may also see a brand new type of character model in the game. After all, in A Winter Night's Lazo, we see that Pulcinella is quite short, and we have no playable male characters of his height. Well, some would say Zhao is. Anyways, he could be the first playable male character to use a model like this, making him quite unique among the vast amount of characters we have in-game already. Anyways, that's pretty much it for my thoughts on Pulcinella and his potential roles in the future. If you want to hear more of my thoughts on the Fatui Harbingers, I recommend my videos on Sandrone, Il Capitano, Colombina, and Pantalone. Of course, I do plan on talking about more of the Harbingers in future videos. I would love to hear what ideas you all have for Pulcinella in the comments below as well. Anyways, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Sources and further readings are also in the description if you want to check them out. I hope you all have an amazing day, and I'll see you all in the next video.